What is up, guys? We are here for another gameplay video. This time, again, it is the Toro Rosso, but different driver. We've got Brendon Harley at the Grand Prix of Americas coming up this Sunday. So I figured, why not? Let's have another 5% race. 5%? 5-lap race. Good God. 5-lap race around the track we haven't done recently. We've done more or less the back end of the calendars. So I figured, you know what, we might as well go ahead and do round 3 of the championship. Anyway, we can see we have got custom livery that I've done. That's in the tutorial video. If you want to check that out, figure out how to do your cars by all means. The helmet, I gotta say, I do really like the helmet that I did for him. It's an inspired version. It's not obviously one of his helmets, but it's one that kind of represents the helmet that he had in 2007, back when he was testing the Red Bull around Silverstone. Now, who is Brendon Harley? Brendon Harley is an ex-Red Bull Young Junior driver. He was part of the team from 2007 to 2010, give or take. He got dropped in 2010 because he kind of didn't really show that much potential. It's very similar to the Nico Carey situation. So, at that point in time, he was fighting for, to get a Toro Rosso seat, and he had 3 contenders. He had Daniel Ricciardo, Danny Kvyat, and Carlos Sainz. Those were his 3 people he was battling for that seat. So, looking at it, 2010, it was a really good season. That was the start of the Red Bull dominance. It's where you wanted to be. Carlos Sainz obviously not getting his break till 5 years later. Kvyat 4 years later. Ricciardo actually obviously got his the season after that. Bearing in mind it was only for HRT. But so yeah, he ended up leaving the junior Red Bull team. He had a few races in GP2 from the back end of 2010, back end of 11, and then 12. But it didn't go to plan very much. So obviously he wasn't improving. I guess to an extent, single seaters at that point in time wasn't for him. So obviously he moved around a little bit. Just did things like the few previous years. He started to take part in Le Mans in 2012, and he's taken part every single year up until this year, where he actually won with Porsche, and he actually is also, the reigning World Endurance Champion. So he's got a pretty solid CV, in all honesty. I mean, he won the 2015 World Endurance Championship as well, and he came second in Le Mans in 2015 that season as well. 2016, bit of a down year, but we can look past that. Apart from that, he's not been too bad. He hasn't had anything massive in his, other than 2015 and 2017. Nothing really stands out that much, but not, it takes a lot to be able to be win Le Mans once, come second, and win 2 World Endurance Championships. So obviously the kid's got some drive in him. Hopefully he can actually help Toro Rosso a little bit. Pierre Gasly is obviously out for, well, potentially the rest of the season. I don't know. They haven't really clarified if Pierre Gasly is going to come back or if Kvyat is staying, but I would like to, you never know, if Brendon Harley does actually perform well in America, they might keep Gasly and Hartley, or they might keep Kvyat and Hartley. Either way, it could end up anyway. I mean, Toro Rosso have had such a crazy driver lineup this season. From Australia to Singapore, it was Sainz and Kvyat, and then from Malaysia and Japan, you had Gasly and Sainz, and then now from America at least is Hartley and Kvyat, and then possibly Kvyat and Gasly for the rest of the season. Now that Sainz has gone to Renault. It's a crazy season for Toro Rosso. I mean, one team that has changed the driver lineup so much. It's not necessarily just changing drivers in and out. It's like the orientation of them. So you have both in, then one out and a new one in, and then old one out, new one, old back in. It's just all over the place. It's crazy to think that Toro Rosso are actually switching it up a little bit, which I'm quite surprised that we haven't seen anyone else do that before. But I mean, poor Kvyat. Obviously, Sainz is kind of laughing going to Renault, which is definitely an upgrade, I'd say, from Toro Rosso being the works team. We just absolutely ignore that corner. It's interesting, but hopefully Hartley can bring it. If it might be a one-off race for him. He hasn't got a seat in anything for 2018. Now Porsche have decided to leave the World Endurance Championship. So all three of their main drivers that compete in their Endurance Championship Le Mans, they haven't got a seat either. And I'm not like that. I don't follow the World Endurance Championship that much or anything like that. But the fact that obviously Brendon Hartley's, that's happened fairly recently, and he's potentially got an opportunity to get a full-time F1 seat, because we never know if he performs well enough. I mean, he's not exactly, I wouldn't say he's old, but at the same time, he's not exactly young. So he's 27 at the moment, which, for an F1 driver, that's still quite young, but for Toro Rosso, that's quite old, where Danny Kvyat at the moment is 23. Pierre Gasly's 21. Sainz, I want to say, is probably on about the same age. So I don't think he'd really fit into the mould of Toro Rosso. Now, to say, for example, Sainz stays at Renault for 2018, and say Verstappen moves on, or Ricciardo moves on, and there's a seat available. If Hartley was to get that drive for 2018 and he performs better than Gasly or better than Kvyat, then he could be a prime person, because he's got enough experience to jump into that Red Bull seat. Now, this is a bit of a long shot, bearing in mind I'm probably reading too much into it. The fact that he's even got this drive in the first place. He might be absolutely awful in single-seaters, but I think it poses a good problem for Toro Rosso to have a world champion, a two-time world champion, and this guy's got one hand on the Triple Crown, which is Monaco, Le Mans, and Indy. Fernando Alonso have some competition, because say this kid won Monaco as well. He was 2 out of the 3 down. You just have to win the Indy 500. But I mean, this kid's got chops. Like, obviously, it wasn't his time. It's very similar to Buemi, if you think about it. So obviously, Buemi was at Toro Rosso. He made the jump from the junior team to their F1 team. Buemi didn't do that great. He left, did his own thing. Now he's Formula E champion. Not this season, obviously, but he is a Formula E champion. You could say the same about Hartley. He didn't do great. Didn't make the cut. Left, did his own thing. Found what he was good at. Very much like Buemi. Became world champion. This is the kind of thing that Toro Rosso have to be very careful of, because this isn't the first time this has happened. Well, evidently so. And it's not going to be the last with F1 teams, because F1 teams are so... They are so indecisive with what they want, who they want, going forward and stuff like that. But, it's weird. But look at this. Look, I just yeah, I'm a nonce. But, yeah, it's a whole thing on the F1 teams. It'll probably be a different video. I've kind of got a little bit off topic, but not as much as the first recording did before it failed, which is good. But yeah, I mean, I really want to see Brendon Hartley do good. It'd be nice to see him come through, and obviously have a New Zealander on the grid for once. Him and Danny Rick might be able to have a little bit of banter, but it's going to be interesting to see how he performs, especially at a track. I'm not sure if he's ever driven. I'm sure he's driven it, but not the track he's most familiar with than, say, a Belgium, or a Silverstone or something like that. It's one of those tracks, it's a very odd track to, jump in for the first time. Same with Pierre Gasly. If he was racing, I reckon it would be difficult for him. But we'll never know. We can only guess and assume what can happen. I don't reckon he'll get points. I personally hope he doesn't get points, because then that'll make Pierre Gasly look bad. And we don't want that. We want Pierre Gasly to keep his seat for next season. But in saying that, you never know what could happen. He could absolutely smash out the park, get some points, maybe even get a top 6. If you get a top 6, that's amazing for Toro Rosso. But with that, you never know. Anything can happen at the Circuit of Americas. Hamilton clinches the title. Not really looking forward to it. We got the IAF3 European Championship on in about 40 minutes for me at least. So I've got to go. I've got to stop this recording. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye bye.